Welcome to the Explainer. Look, if you live down here in North Carolina, you already know our summers are just absolutely brutal on cool season grasses. By the time late August rolls around, your once gorgeous fescue lawn, yeah, it might be looking a little thin, brown, and frankly, kind of a nightmare. Between the drought, the random heavy rain, regular foot traffic, and that rock-hard compacted soil, it really takes a toll. But hey, do not panic. Today, we're going to rescue that summer-ravaged yard. We're walking through the ultimate guide to fescue fall recovery. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll figure out if your grass is actually dead, look at the tight overseeding window, cover why soil contact is literally everything, break down the 2 phases of watering, time your fertilizer and weeds, and finally put all of this into a completely foolproof fall process. Let's get right to it. Section 1. Is your grass actually dead? Let's evaluate things first. I know exactly how frustrating it is. You look out at this crispy brown yard after months of relentless heat and drought, and honestly, you might just be tempted to throw in the towel. But before you run to the hardware store to completely start over, let me ask you a pivotal question. Is the grass actually dead? Or is it just really stressed? It's so common to look at a North Carolina lawn in August and assume the whole thing is ruined. But hold on a second. Here's a massive misconception. Brown does not always mean dead. Fescue can actually be incredibly dramatic in the summer. When the heat gets extreme, it often just goes dormant or suffers heavy heat stress as a way to protect itself. There is a huge difference between dormant, stressed fescue that just needs a solid recovery strategy and actual, totally dead turf that needs a complete replacement. Those areas that look completely terrible right now, they might bounce back surprisingly well once those temperatures drop. But here's the thing, misdiagnosing your lawn as dead is really just the tip of the iceberg. There are exactly 7 critical mistakes homeowners make that actively ruin their fall recovery. Some of the most common things people do right now actually make their lawn problems worse or stop new seed from ever taking root. And we are going to cover every single one of them. Moving on to Section 2, the fall overseeding window, because timing is absolutely everything here. Fall is the absolute prime growing season for cool season fescue in North Carolina. As those brutal summer temps finally decline, conditions become practically perfect for fescue seed to germinate. But that window does not stay open forever. September is the time to start your renovation. Waiting until late October, that is a massive mistake. If you wait until November, when your lawn looks its absolute worst, to even start thinking about overseeding, you are completely setting yourself up for failure. Think about it from the seed's perspective. Before the freezing winter weather hits, a young seed has a ton of work to do. It has to germinate, push down a deep root system, establish multiple blades, fill in all those ugly thin areas, and build up its strength. If you plant too late, the grass literally just doesn't have the time to get established enough to survive the winter freeze, let alone the brutal summer that follows. Section 3, soil contact. It's time to prep the ground. If you're just throwing expensive seed out onto hard, compacted Charlotte dirt without doing any prep work, you're setting yourself up for a complete disaster. Seed plus poor soil contact equals really disappointing results. Have you ever spread grass seed and wondered why absolutely nothing grew? Well, it's probably not the seed's fault, it's the soil. Our local soils get so heavily compacted over time just from regular foot traffic. A tiny seed sitting on top of hard clay cannot establish roots. It desperately needs direct, unimpeded contact with the earth. And that is exactly where core aeration comes in as a total game changer. It's simply the process of pulling small plugs of soil out of the lawn. This creates little openings that allow water, air, nutrients, and roots to move freely. Aeration isn't just about punching random holes in your yard for fun. It's about actively improving the growing environment. It completely relieves that compaction and gives the seed a place to actually reach the soil surface. Aeration plus seed plus proper watering, that is your recipe for a thick, gorgeous lawn. Which brings us to Section 4, the phases of watering. We have to hydrate intelligently. Now, this is probably the most nuanced part of lawn recovery. We really need to shift your mindset from just basic watering to professional hydration, because frequency and amount, they're 2 completely different things. People so often think, oh, I'll just water my new seed for 5 minutes every single day and it'll be perfectly fine. Nope. A lawn can get watered every single day and still completely struggle if that moisture isn't actually penetrating deep into the soil. The goal isn't just making the grass wet, it's watering intelligently based on exactly what stage of growth the grass is in. To water like a pro, you have to follow this 2-step sequence. Step 1 is phase 1, germination. During this time, consistent moisture is everything. You absolutely cannot let that seedbed dry out. It needs to stay damp to sprout. But here is where so many people mess up. Once the grass actually begins to establish, you must transition to step 2, phase 2, post-germination. You have to stop keeping the surface constantly wet and instead shift to deep, less frequent watering. This forces the new grass to chase that moisture downward and develop a strong, deep root system, which, by the way, is exactly what it needs to survive this summer heat next year. And hey, always check the weather. A rainy week dramatically changes how much extra water you actually need to put down. Section 5, timing fertilizer and weeds. We have to manage the competition. Look, while you're out there trying to grow beautiful new fescue, there is some serious competition brewing. Fall is great for your grass, sure, but it's also when some really greedy weeds thrive. It basically becomes a ruthless turf war for every essential resource. Your young grass needs water for germination, while those villainous weeds will steal it to outgrow your seeds. Nutrients? Crucial for your new roots, but weeds use them to completely dominate the soil. Sunlight? Your fescue needs it for blade development, but weeds will literally grow over and shade out the young grass. And space? Your fescue needs room to fill in thin patches, but weeds will aggressively step in and choke out the new turf. So letting weeds run wild right now, absolutely fatal error. But here is the massive catch. Weed control and overseeding have to be strictly coordinated. You cannot, I repeat, cannot just go spray a bunch of weed killer and drop your seed on the exact same weekend. Treating weeds and dropping seed aren't separate jobs. They are highly linked. If you apply the wrong herbicide, you are going to severely damage your newly germinated grass. Same goes for fertilizer. Applying the wrong product at the wrong time without thinking about your soil conditions or your new seeds is going to create major problems. Section 6, the fall lawn process. It is not a one-day project. You simply cannot treat lawn care as a frantic, one-day afternoon chore where you try to magically fix months of summer stress. A successful fescue lawn comes from a strategic, ongoing timeline. Week 1 is all about soil evaluation and aeration. Week 2, you move to dropping your seed and coordinating your fertility. Weeks 3 through 5, that's dedicated to carefully managing your phase 1 and phase 2 watering. And ongoing, of course, you have your weed management and continuous maintenance. It's like a giant puzzle. Every single piece affects the next. Aerating won't help if you don't water properly. Excellent seed won't overcome compacted soil. If you skip just one step, you kind of ruin the entire sequence.
So I want to leave you with this ultimate fall fescue checklist. This is the concrete solution to your lawn care nightmare, with the exact professional steps you need to follow. First, evaluate the turf. Second, aerate to relieve that compaction. Next, overseed to build up the density. Then, fertilize properly. Carefully manage those competing weeds. Water intelligently through both phases. Mow at the correct height. And finally, maintain it continuously. This is exactly how you build a resilient, beautiful lawn.
And that brings us to our final thought for today. Is your fescue ready for its fall comeback? The clock is ticking, and that crucial September window, it is closing quickly. Take what you've learned from this explainer, get out there, evaluate your yard, and embrace the process right now. Thanks so much for joining me, and hey, good luck with your fall lawn recovery.